Hello everyone, welcome to our today's session. In our previous session, we have studied about the steels, classification of steel and the different applications of steel. In that session, we have seen the one of the type of steel which was plain carbon steel. Today we are going to study the next type of steel which is alloy steel, and we will also see the effect of different alloying materials on steels. Before starting our today's session, let's have a look on outcomes of this presentation. So at the end of this presentation, student will able to understand the classification of steel and the major component or the major content of this presentation, which is effect of alloying element on steels. So here is general classification of steel, which we have seen in our previous session. In that session, we have studied about the plain carbon steel and its three types, which is low carbon steel, medium carbon steel, and high carbon steel. In today's session, we will have a look on alloy steel and the different alloying elements and their effects on steels. What are the basic difference I have told in our previous session? That is, in plain carbon steel, the major alloying element or the main alloying element in this type is carbon, and in this type the main alloying element is other than carbon. Steel is mixture of iron and carbon, and in alloy steel the main alloying element is something other than carbon, like chromium, silicon, manganese, vanadium, molybdenum, etc. And stainless steel and tool steel are common examples of alloy steel. What are tool steels? Tool steels are nothing but the material which is used to manufacture your tools like cutting tool or drill bit, etc. Here is a list of some common alloying elements which are generally used with steels. The list consists silicon, manganese, nickel, chromium, molybdenum, cobalt, tungsten, vanadium, carbon, etc. We will see one by one its effect on steels. Very first alloying element is silicon. It increases strength without decreasing ductility. Means whenever we use silicon to increase the strength of steel, then there will be no effect on ductility of particular steel. The next point, resist high temperature oxidation. Means whenever we select steels for high temperature application, at that time what happens? At that temperature, carbon start reaction with oxygen and forms oxides of carbon. So at the end of that process, the percentage of carbon may decrease from that steel. Due to reduction in percentage of carbon, the strength of that particular steel may decrease. So to avoid that phenomena, silicon provide resistance to oxidation at high temperature. The next point is increase strength of low alloy steel. Then next, prevent decarburization. Decarburization concept is nothing but the same. When carbon start reaction with oxygen, at that reaction, at the end of that reaction, the percentage of carbon decreases from that particular steel, due to which the strength of material or the strength of that steel will also be decreases. To avoid that phenomena, the silicon plays the important role. Then next one is manganese. It reduces the effect of brittleness from sulfur. Generally what happens, for good machining purpose or for good machinability, we generally add sulfur into our alloy. But when we exceed the certain amount of sulfur in our alloy, then it creates the brittleness in our material. So to avoid that brittleness, we can use manganese. It reduces the brittleness from sulfur. Suppose there is a limit of 0.05 percentage of sulfur present in our material, but by mistake we have added the 0.1% or 0.11% of sulfur in our material, so it may create cracks in our material. To avoid that phenomena, we can use manganese because it reduces the effect of brittleness from sulfur. The next point is increase hardenability. The next, help to increase wear resistance and abrasion resistance and strength and hardness of material. The next alloying element is nickel. So it provides toughness to the material. What is toughness? Toughness is nothing but the energy absorbed by the material before its fracture. Okay. So whenever we will add nickel to our element or our alloy, then the toughness of our element will also be increases. Then it also provides corrosion resistance and it also provides deep hardening. What does mean by deep hardening? When we perform hardening operation, at that at the end of that operation, our surface of our material will get hardened. But when we add nickel into our material, then the range of that hardening will also be increases from outer surface to inner surface. The range of that hardening process will be increases. Then next element is chromium. It produces same effect as produced by the nickel. It also improves the corrosion resistance, also increases the toughness of material, and here is only one difference, it increases hardenability of material. Okay, chromium increases hardenability of material. Then our next alloying element is molybdenum. It increases the hardenability of our element or steel. The next point is it increases tensile and creep strength at high temperature. First of all, understand what is creep. Creep is nothing but a failure phenomena. When our material get fail under cyclic or repetitive load, then that breaking phenomena or failure phenomena can be called as creep. Then to avoid that phenomena, our material should have creep strength, good creep strength. So when we add molybdenum to our material, then molybdenum increases the creep strength of our material at high temperatures. What it means, whenever we select our material or steel for high temperature applications and we add molybdenum in our material, then the creep strength at high temperature of our material will be increases. The next point is increases red hardness. What it means, in our second session of properties of material, we have studied this term red hardness. It means at high temperatures the hardness of our material should be more. Okay, so when we add molybdenum to our steel, then the hardness at high temperatures of steel will be increases. Then last point is it helps to increase corrosion resistance. Then next one is cobalt. Cobalt help to increase red hardness of steel. And next point is it is generally used in high speed steel. For high speed steel, you can observe your tip of this screwdriver. It appears white and shiny color. So cobalt is generally used in high speed steels. Then our next alloying element is tungsten. Tungsten increases the hardenability of our steel. The next point is tungsten increases the wear and abrasion resistance of steel. It means after addition of tungsten, the removal of material of steel during working will not be easy. Then third point is it reduces tendency of decarburization. What does mean by decarburization? Decarburization is nothing but the chemical reaction between atmospheric oxygen and the carbon present in our steel. So at the end of that reaction, the percentage of carbon from our steel will be decreased, due to which the strength of our steel will be decreased. So to avoid that phenomena, to avoid that reaction, we have to add tungsten into our steel. Then our next alloying element is vanadium. Vanadium acts as deoxidizer, means it prevents the material from oxygen. The next point is it promotes fine grain structure. Whenever you will see this term fine grain structure, it means the hardness of that material having fine grain structure is very high. Okay, then last point is good carbide former. This carbide word indicates the hard zone of iron carbide diagram. So in the sense, whenever you will add vanadium to our steel, then it will increase the hardness of our material. Then here is our last alloying element, which is carbon. Okay, so in alloy steel, carbon is not playing the role of major alloying element. So we have taken it at last. It increases the strength of material or load carrying capacity of material or steel. Okay, that improves the hardenability of our steel. So in our previous session, we have seen that as the percentage of carbon increases, as the percentage of carbon increases in our material, then the hardness of material will also be increased. Okay. After a study of alloying elements of steel, we will see some residual elements of steel and their functions. First of all, understand what does mean by residual elements. Residual elements are nothing but the element which we have not added intentionally, but we have observed the presence of those material in steels. First residual element is phosphorus. Phosphorus increases the strength of low carbon steel. Then it provides resistance to atmospheric corrosion. And the last, it improves the machinability of steel. Then next residual element is sulfur. Sulfur improves the machinability of our steel. Remember one thing here, if the percentage of sulfur increased beyond the limit, then it can create cracks on surface of steel. To avoid that phenomena, we have to use manganese with sulfur. Okay, and if it is in proper proportion, then it improves the machinability. Then next residual element is copper. Copper improves the resistance to corrosion. Okay. Then it increases the strength and hardness through heat treating. And then last, the residual element is tin. Tin promotes the temper embrittlement. So embrittlement is nothing but decrease in ductility and increase in brittleness. So here we will end our today's session. Thank you. Thanks for watching.